There's a subreddit, I believe it's called FundieSnarkUncensored, that is under fire right now by libs of TikTok, by Ron DeSantis, and by this group. Well, I think it's Family Freedom Project. It's right here. It's the channel name. The Family Freedom Project. So it's a nonprofit organization, a right-wing one, that is representing a family who was targeted, I guess, by the FundieSnarkUncensored subreddit. They had a baby, and apparently it's like a couple of people who kind of travel around in an RV. I'm unfamiliar, and they homeschool their kids, and they're kind of like right-wing nutcases. They're influencers. They've got like 600,000 subbies on Instagram, I think, and the subreddit like targeted them heavily, and it's blown up to this point now where there's like there's a criminal thing against them. I just want to like listen to a little bit of this video from the Family Freedom Project, who's kind of like assessing the situation and explaining it.
It is just as likely that your child will grow up and have one school suspension as that they will grow up having been investigated by CPS.
Child Protective Services.
Oh yeah, they're attacking CPS. That's kind of the angle. This is so disappointing to me. Like, I feel that Reddit needs to, like, the people on Reddit need to chill out a little bit and not, like, basically engage in stochastic terrorism. Just engage in that a slightly less than they are right now. If for no other reason than because it's giving ammunition to groups like this who want to abolish free speech and CPS and a whole bunch of other government programs. It's giving ammunition to them.
Protective Services.
Child Protective Services.
The supervisor of the Department of Child and Family Services called us and said that if we don't get back in touch with him in 30 minutes, he's going to issue an order to take custody of our children nationwide.
A recent study from the NIH showed that 1 out of every 3 children in America will be part of a CPS investigation before the age of 18.
I don't believe any of this stuff because this is from like a right-wing group. Just be skeptical. But you know what? Good. It's a good thing that CPS is involved in things, in my opinion. There was a CPS agent in my life when I was young and growing up, and she didn't do anything for me like she should have, but she was there. And you know what? This family, like, there were a billion false reports, apparently. I don't understand the situation fully, so I could be wrong here, but to my knowledge, a bunch of people called CPS and made reports about the baby looking jaundice and stuff when it wasn't. And it led to like this serious threat from CPS that the parents need to bring the baby in for examination immediately or there are going to be repercussions, like a nationwide manhunt kind of deal. So they brought the kid in. To my knowledge, there was an examination and everything was fine. They're a weirdo family who is, in my opinion, doing lasting damage to their kids by homeschooling them and depriving them of normal human social interaction that kids would normally get in schools. But that's not, I don't think it brings it to abuse necessarily. I think you're allowed to do that. And trying to destroy somebody's life over it is just like psychotic. I dealt with this myself forever ago because there's a teacher who was talking about religion in the classroom and saying atheists are terrible and you need to be religious, you need to believe in God to have a moral system and so on. I report the teacher and suddenly there are like a billion people staging protests at my kid's bus stop, okay? What were they planning to do? Kids like 12. Are they going to like beat up a 12-year-old? That's the direction it was going. In fact, I have messages from a Facebook page where people were talking about kidnapping my kid to get her out of the clutches of the evil atheist. I mean, it's nuts. So when the internet goes wild, it goes wild. And it's not acceptable. I'm sorry. Not acceptable when Trump nutcases do that to me. And it's not acceptable when anyone else has to deal with it either. It's just not.
Worse, if you're Black or Native American, it's 1 out of every 2. This is The Lot family. They travel around the country as a family and they document.
Yeah, this is very clearly propaganda, right? The music, the happy music, and it's all upbeat and everything. And they're going to tell a heartwarming story about how special they are as a family. I'm sure they're scumbags. I have no doubt about it. But that doesn't mean it's okay to false report them.
Their travels to over 500,000 followers on social media. Their baby, Boone,
was investigated by Florida CPS, I kid you not, to appease an angry group of Redditors.
Look, if CPS is called, they should probably investigate. In this case, it was wrong. Like, the Redditors were wrong for doing what they did, but it's still justified in investigating. You trying to tell me that you don't want CPS investigating when they get a phone call about, like, abuse? Really?
But before we get to that, you need to understand who the family is first.
Not really. No, I don't actually. I'm not going to watch more propaganda about them. It's just like, apparently they're like military vets who travel around. They've got 600,000 subbies. Yeah, that's all you really need to know. Oh, and weirdly, honestly, a lot of the negative comments about them on the subreddit were targeted toward the woman. That's kind of strange.
Be malicious people. It wasn't long before the lots began to get some negative feedback. That was really disappointing, but not unexpected. Anyone in the public eye is going to have people who disagree or even hate them. It's expected, but it's still going to be tough. Nobody wants to wake up from a bunch of comments from people who seem consumed with letting them know that they hate them. It makes you kind of...
I don't think I really care that people hate me or whatever. I mean, I think it's kind of comical when Trump supporters come at me or whatever. What I don't like is stochastic terrorism. People threatening to kidnap my kid, taking pictures of my front door, or taking pictures through my window in the middle of the night, that kind of deal. That's unacceptable. And nobody should be subjected to that. I don't care what your level of fame.
Quick interjection, this won't take long, I promise. I'd appreciate it if you watched to the end of the video, or at least a couple extra seconds, because YouTube bases its algorithm off of watch time. The more watch time a video has, the further the video will go. Also, take a look at my website, owenmorgan.com. I'm selling my book, Understanding Jehovah's Witnesses, 400 pages, and my second book, 100 Questions for Jehovah's Witnesses, which is about 80 pages. And you can find them both there on the website. Audio form, ebook form, whatever. It's about my experiences within the religion, and the history of the religion generally. The 100 questions are intended to challenge a religious leader, so I'd appreciate it if you give it a read. Okay, back to the video.
kind of question, am I doing the right thing? Is what they're saying true? And then you have to remind yourself, these people have never met me or my kids. They have absolutely no context to make an assertion that's even close to the truth, but it's just the way it works.
I agree. You shouldn't be doing that. I don't know. Like, you don't know the people personally. You haven't seen them. You never met the kid. You're looking at their lives through a camera that they are pointing in specific directions.
So they finally came to a decision. If having a few people hate them meant that they could give their children the best possible upbringing, then that was worth the sacrifice. But it never really occurred to them that that sacrifice might include somebody trying to take their children. Enter FundieSnarkUncensored.
Oh, there you go. FundieSnarkUncensored.
It's a subreddit within which there's a dedicated group of individuals whose mission has been to harass the Lot family because they disagree with how they raise their children.
I'm sorry to say, unfortunately, I think that this is accurate. This part right here. Really not a fan of that.
When I say that, it sounds like I'm being a little bit dramatic, but honestly, there is no other way I can think of to explain what they did next.
I don't believe that he's being dramatic. That's coming from somebody on the left who criticizes fundamentalists and extremists, Christian religious nutcases. And I'm saying that about somebody who's on the right. He is actually correct here in my opinion. They know what they're doing. They're basically on the run from CPS at this point. That's not Discord, by the way. That's my video. I don't know why they put this in. I think they know that CPS is underfunded and their mobile lifestyle keeps them able to evade CPS, so not even that would worry them. Threat of CPS on them by CPS is just showing a bunch of, just for the audio audience, showing a bunch of clips of messages about CPS.
Having never met the family or even seen the children, this Reddit group decided to organize the filing of false CPS reports to attempt to remove the Lot children from their parents. They claimed that the 1-year-old son had a severe sunburn and jaundice and lethargy, and it worked scarily well.
Well, good. I mean, it should. It should absolutely work. If somebody thinks that your kid is in danger and they call CPS, I'm glad to know that CPS will show up or they'll do something about it. The problem isn't CPS. They're framing it like it's CPS. Come on. Pull it together. My God, dude. And on top of that, even worse, this video, look at the comments on this video. Very first comment. Redditors aren't people. Are you kidding me with this? That's the problem, okay? Dehumanization. People are dehumanizing others and devaluing their experiences, and they just don't care. Like, they're just going to ruin your life because why not? That's the problem. What is wrong with you?
So basically, she calls, and I was talking to her on the phone, and she used the same exact term. She said, severe sunburn, lethargy, and jaundice. We're worried about your children. We need to check on them. And I explained to her that we saw a comment like this days back, and the next...
Yeah, I think it's reasonable to assume that the comment on the subreddit and the CPS call are linked.
Next thing you know, we talked about it, and it seemed like it was okay. Come to find out, though,
It wasn't okay.
the supervisor of the Department of Child and Family Services called us and said that if we don't get back in touch with him in 30 minutes, he's going to
Take
issue
our
an
children.
order to take custody of our children nationwide. So we reach out to a group called Family Freedom Project.
When I first received the call from JD and Brittany, I was confused. Not only is what happened to them immoral, it's a felony. Immediately, the
Well, I mean, a false report is a felony. I don't know that those people intended to file a false report. I think they probably believed what they were doing. So I'm not sure anyone's going to get in legal trouble here. I'm not sure about the criminal stuff. I don't know. But the civil stuff, this could really work against us. Horrifying. Christian family alleges that an anti-Christian Reddit group conspired to get their children taken away from them by filing false reports to DCF, which led to them being investigated. Jesus Christ. Just look at like some of the comments here. Reporting false accusations should be tried with the same level of charges as the accused. I don't know what the hell that means. At this point, I wouldn't be surprised. They're coming for your kids is no longer a conspiracy theory. It's out in the open and real, my God. Like this is a big Democrat plot to take away Republicans' kids or something. Like, oh my God, people. There's a reasonable level of infuriation at what's happening, and then you get into like conspiracy land. Unfortunately, like the reason I'm talking about it in the first place, because it's all over like right-wing media at the moment, and it's like being used against normal people to silence speech possibly, and it's being brought up by Ron DeSantis and everything. So the Daily Wire, obviously not a trustworthy source at all, but the Daily Wire is talking about it. The title of this is An Anti-Christian Reddit Group Falsely Reported a Family to Child Services. DeSantis says Florida won't stand for it. A Christian family camping in Florida was the target of false reports of child abuse, and now Florida Governor Ron DeSantis says the accusers will be investigated. It reached DeSantis. JD and Brittany Lott, 2 military veterans from Texas, and their 8 kids. Oh my God, 8 kids? Are you kidding me? Were camping and posting to their social media following of more than 600,000 when they were contacted by Florida's Department of Children and Families, DCF. The family explained the situation in a 2-part Instagram series that included screenshots of the messages they received. Their story began just a few weeks after Brittany gave birth to their 8th daughter. Wait, their 8th daughter? They have 8 kids and they're all girls? Really? What are the chances of that? Seriously. The chances of that are 2 to the 8th power. Is that right? What is that? Oh, it's 1 in 256. Is that right? Yeah, it's one out of 256. Wow. So that means, so we're looking at like 0.4% chance of it all being girls. That's crazy. According to the family's Instagram post, this wasn't just one person. Turns out it's an entire group of wow, this is poorly worded. Turns out it's an entire group of anti-Christian group working together on Reddit who concocted this crazy story about us, the Lotts said. I don't think it was like a crazy leap to assume that their kids are not being treated well. But it was a leap. I'll take it that far. It was a leap, and they shouldn't have called CPS like that. They shouldn't be targeting people with harassment like that. Again, victim of harassment right here. Been through it. Did not like it. Anyway, yeah, I don't know. Tell me what you think about it in the comments. Like, are we going to have to face serious blowback as people on the left for what happened in the subreddit? Did the subreddit do nothing wrong? Is it actually the family's fault? Like, tell me what you think. I can't read it. Why would you post a picture that is totally unreadable? I've identified their current location. I'm reporting to Florida Abuse Hotline. You're a saint. I was really hoping someone would do this. Sincerely hope something's done. My hopes aren't that high, but this makes me sick to watch. Yeah, I don't even know what they were watching. So anyway, just not good. Not good. Don't do that kind of thing, people. Stochastic terrorism, bad.